Hello, ladies and gentlemen, as guardians and mutants alike. Welcome to another Liam Maiden gameplay video. Back with more Marvel Strike Force today, where I am finally going to be completing Dark Dimension 3 for the second time, and I wanted to invite you all along for the journey as I engage in my final battle on this final node here. Now, if we go in and take a look, ignore the time elapsed in the corner because I actually sat on this for a few days so that I would have time to record it, but look at all the battles that I've had to fight to get through this. So I've mostly been using Web Warriors, also used Cloak and Dagger with Ghost Rider in there. I've had to fight a good few times. This is actually going to be my 5th attack and final attack on this node, the final node of DD3. It's taken me a long time to get through it all now. As you'll be aware, Dark Dimension, you want to complete each Dark Dimension twice because you get the rewards. You get one set of rewards when you complete it the first time and another set of rewards when you complete it the second time. So you do really need to do it twice. So this is the final time, hopefully, that I'm going to be completing DD3. I wanted to bring you all along just for the ride so you can take a look at the team that I used, and then after this I will go through and kind of talk through the teams that I use for DD3. Now, I already made a guide to Dark Dimension, a sort of beginner's guide. I'll post a link to that one down in the description. It kind of talks a little bit about my experiences in Dark Dimension 1 and 2 as well as 3 and how you can kind of plan for 4 and 5 as well. Today we'll mostly just focus on 3, so do check out that link down below in the description if you want to see that kind of overview video. But let's just enjoy this moment here as we finish out DD3. Now, Web Warriors, I'm going to talk more about them in a little bit when I kind of go through the squads that I use. They've been moderately effective for this, and they've been a fun team to use. It's been a really fun way to use them. Not necessarily the team that I would recommend for the city nodes here. I'm a little disappointed in that overall, but they have been relatively effective. As you can see here, they just don't have the dodge that they get, all the benefits that they get when you use them in raids. Anyway, talk about that more in a minute. So I've really done a ton of damage with my first 4 assaults here. So that was 2 with Web Warriors and 2 with Cloak Dagger and my Ghost Rider as well. So I softened this team up now for this final assault here. Now, the way it goes is, you know, you can fight these nodes as many times as you want. Basically, when your team dies, you can wait till the next day when your calendar, your clock resets, and it's the next day. Your team's healed, and you can have another go. Some of the nodes, the first time around when I was going through DD3, some of the global nodes near the beginning, I had to do like 25 times, 25 battles before I could get through. It was a lot easier the second time around, but it still took, you know, 2, 3, and obviously in this case 5 battles to get through some of the harder nodes. Now, you can heal your tunes if you want to. There's special healing materials that you can get, but they're few and far between. You can only have 100 of them, and it takes 50 to heal each character. So, you know, you can't heal an entire team. And other than that, you need to use cores, and it's very expensive. You're talking about using hundreds of cores, power cores, to heal someone up. So I do not recommend that. Basically, you're better to just wait and you know, have another go the next day when your team is automatically healed. That's what I did anyway. A little bit of a slog, but it is worth it now to be here. Look at this. We've done this. Boom, bye-bye Ghost Rider. I think I am going to take out Crossbones. Boom, bye-bye Crossbones. Last 2 on the pitch. 2 vultures. DD3, the tunes in DD3 hit hard. They really do, and they're tough to get through. Much harder than DD2, I think. So close. Boom, 1 vulture down. Let's do this. Come on, Miles. Oh, I thought that was going to do it. Slowed it right down. That is okay. Who gets... Oh! Okay, still not quite, even with that extra attack. Boom! And Spidey takes us home. There we go. Fantastic. Boom! DD3 done for the second time. And look at all these rewards. That is pretty awesome. So 5 red stars, 4 Ultimus, and then a bunch of orange gear there. I mean, it's a little frustrating because this is all the gear you need to bring people up to fight DD3 in the first place, but it's all going to be helpful on my way to DD4, obviously. You get so much gear from Dark Dimension, really worth investing in and going after for that huge gear haul. Well, there you go. That is DD3 completed for me, hopefully for the final time. Yeah, I think I'm going to skip that. I'll upgrade Ultimus later. What I want to do right now is let's go on over to my roster, and I will just talk through a little bit the teams that I used for Dark Dimension 3. Let's just take a look. Again, I go over a little bit of this in that introductory video where I look at all Dark Dimensions, but let's look a little more in depth here. So these teams here are the teams that I used for Dark Dimension 3. So that first team at the top there, the Ultron, Baron Zemo, Ghost, Emma Frost, and Mr. Sinister, that was the team that I initially used for the global nodes, the first few nodes in the global nodes in DD3. But I did not like that team very much, so I actually augmented it with the team below, the Secret Avengers team, Sharon Carter, Captain Sam, Maria Hill, and then I threw Hawkeye and Black Widow in there as well. Now to fight in DD3, you need your characters up at gear 14. So it was a bit of a grind to get two. It was a massive overinvestment, basically, to get two global teams in there. I don't recommend doing that, but this second team, the Secret Avengers team, was much more effective than that first team, so I wouldn't recommend using those older tunes. Definitely Secret Avengers are the way to go, though I'd probably use Ultron and Ghost in there instead of Black Widow and Hawkeye. Then moving down, the second team here, or the third team in the list rather, second team on the screen right now, is the team that I used for the Cosmic nodes. So you start off with open nodes. You can use any tune as long as they're gear 14. The next nodes are global nodes, and the next lane is the Cosmic lane. So this is the team that I used here: Dad Bros, Eternals, and then Ebony Maw. Now this was a pretty effective team. I used Dad Bros really just because I almost had them up at gear 14 anyway. Eternals, I 100% recommend investing in Eternals. And Ebony Maw, I'm probably going to use Ebony Maw for the legendary only lane in DD4 rather, not 5. So he was worth investing in. I thought Ebony Maw was worth investing in. Eternals, I 100% recommend investing in. Definitely bring them up to use them in your Cosmic lane. And then we come down to the final lane in DD3, which is the City lane. Now for the City lane, as you just saw, I mostly used Web Warriors anyway. Now there's a little bit of a resource bottleneck with them. You need that superior Oz formula to take them up to gear 14. You need so much of that. So I subbed in Ghost Rider because I had him up at a decent level. I could bring him up to gear 14. So for a while, I think it was Spider-Punk was the last one I brought up to gear 14. So I was basically using, Web Warriors minus Spider-Punk. I threw in Ghost Rider there instead. Now here's the thing, I do not recommend necessarily taking Web Warriors up for DD3, and this is why. So when Web Warriors were first introduced, I was really, really excited for them. I basically hoped that they were going to become kind of the new symbiotes. So symbiotes were one of those teams that had been kind of a high, not quite a meta team, hadn't been a meta team for a long time, but they'd been a really good, solid go-to team, especially for raids, but you could use them everywhere in the game, right? They had a use in the regular nodes, had a use in Doom War, and they definitely had a use in raid, especially Doom Raid for those bio nodes. And I was kind of hoping, and obviously in War too, and I was kind of hoping that Web Warriors would just be the replacement. They'd just be the better version of symbiotes, because symbiotes were starting to be outclassed a little bit. They were a little bit slow, and that just isn't the case. So obviously I've not super invested in Web Warriors. You can see here I've got them all up at gear 14, which isn't crazy, but it's definitely a workable level. Now I use them. You can see here this footage I've got on the screen right now. This is footage of me using them in raids. I can't remember if this is a beta raid or Doom raid. I think it's beta, but basically in raids they are outstanding. I would definitely say that in raids they are exactly what I was looking for. They are the symbiotes plus. They're way better than symbiotes and way more effective. Now outside of raids they leave quite a lot to be desired. In fact, I would actually say when it comes to other areas of the game, they're actually not as effective as symbiotes, and I would class Dark Dimension in that category. So they are not, for that reason. So in raids, as you can see, look at all these buffs they've got. They've got a bunch of healing and a bunch of dodge and a bunch of counter too, and assists that they get from each other. That just is not present in other areas of the game. It's present in raids, but nowhere else. And that's how their kit is designed. They're very much a raid focused team, which is cool. And I think we're getting, more characters that are maybe focused on single versions of the game, single game experience. I don't have anything against that, but I think obviously it limits their usability usability. So I do not recommend powering up your web warriors specifically for use in Dark Dimension at all, but Dark Dimension 3 onward, where you need that city team. Now, don't get me wrong, if you love web warriors, and I'm a big Spidey head, so you know I was really pleased to power them up, then you can use them, and as you've just seen, they are effective. You can get through. However, I think you would get the same kind of results with symbiotes, and people are more likely to have an already developed symbiote team that they can use more easily than web warriors. So for that reason, I'd say symbiotes kind of win out in Dark Dimension over web warriors. However, they're not the team that I would definitely recommend. Even symbiotes aren't the team that I would recommend for those city nodes. Let's go back over to my roster now and take a look at the teams I am building up for DD4, and we'll take a look at my city team there. Okay, so let's take a look here. So these are the teams that I previously spoke about, the teams that I used in DD3. But if we scroll down, you can see the squads that I'm working on for DD4. So first of all, at the top here, you have my revised global squads. This is kind of taking the best bits from those 2 global squads that I had in DD3. I definitely recommend taking up the Secret Avengers for those global lanes right now in DD3 onward. They are an excellent choice. The other 2, you could really choose anyone. Ghost obviously is, she's got a lot of buffs built into her kit specifically for Dark Dimension. For that reason, she can be pretty good, although she is a little squishy, so you need to be careful. Ultron, a lot of people would say don't bother with Ultron. I just really love Ultron, so that's the reason that I've powered him up and taken him all the way up to gear 15. Feel free to disregard him. You can put any other global character in there. This team really works because of the Secret Avengers. And if we move down to the cosmic level here, so you can see obviously Eternals. You've got to be using Eternals, most powerful cosmic options in the game right now. Deathpool and Kestrel, I think, are also amazing options to have there. Just amazing tunes. And then I've thrown in Moon Knight there, thrown in Moondragon there for the healing ability that she brings to the squad. But again, you could use anyone. Phyla-Vell would be another great choice there. These are just my suggestions right now, but I think they're really solid in the moment at the making of this video. Then if we move down to the final team that's on screen here, this is the squad that I'm actually planning to build up for those city nodes on DD4. So you can see here, since I've already brought up Deathpool for the cosmic node, I also want to bring up new warriors because I'm using them on my regular team together, right? They're part of the new warriors. Deathpool with Cloak and Dagger. Cloak and Dagger, basically this is my replacement. I'm saying don't bother bringing up web warriors. Do bring up Cloak and Dagger. Cloak and Dagger are really the 2 tunes that are going to complete the city nodes for you. Everyone else is just along for support. So you're building this team, or I'm building this team rather, around Cloak and Dagger. But who else have I got in there? So Ghost Rider, so I already mentioned Ghost Rider. I did use him as a stand-in when I hadn't yet brought all of Web Warriors up to Gear 14 for DD3, so I am planning to bring him on up into Dark Dimension 4. I think he's a solid city character, not necessarily going to be everybody's top choice, but I've already got him up at Gear 14, and I do enjoy using him, so I figure I may as well take him the rest of the way. We've also got Symbiote Spider-Man. Now, I do think Symbiote Spider-Man is one of those characters that's worth investing in. Yes, I think that the shine has kind of gone off symbiotes. It hasn't been there for a while, although, as you just heard, they're still very, very usable. They have not been completely replaced or superseded by Web Warriors in the way that I thought they would. So it's still a squad that's worth investing in. Of those characters, hands down, the best tune is Symbiote Spider-Man. He's got that city tag, so he's definitely worth bringing up for Dark Dimension 4, in my opinion, at the moment in-game. And then the fifth character, again, so many options you could sub in for these other characters as long as you're bringing up Cloak and Dagger. Right now, I'm planning on using Shang-Chi. I just really like his attack that he does, a chain attack that hits everyone in the gang. Obviously, Shang-Chi and the Heroes for Hire characters in general are really nowhere near as effective when you take them out of that Heroes for Hire squad. A lot of it is based on synergy, and a lot of it's based on war defense as well, right? That's where that team really, really shines. However, I think Shang-Chi, of all of those Heroes for Hire characters, he has legs outside of that squad and outside of the specific war game mode. So I am planning to take him up really just for that ability to chain to everyone and do that damage to the enemy squad. I'm hoping really that this squad can do some decent damage out the gate, and that Cloak and Dagger can really mop up anyone that is left over. Well, there you go. That is my DD3 journey, the end of my Dark Dimension 3 journey. I've given you some overview of the teams that I use, some suggestions for teams you might want to use if you are preparing for Dark Dimension 3. Some reasons why I don't think you should necessarily prioritize Web Warriors, not over other characters with the city tag. They're not as good as I thought they were going to be for Dark Dimension. And then some ideas for teams that I'm going to be using for DD4 as I move on to that. Still got to complete DD2 10 times to get the frame that you get from that. There's various kind of frames for your avatar that you can get. They're mostly focused on DD2. I'm not sure why that is, but 10 times will give you the kind of ultimate purple frame that you can get there. Still working on that. I think I've got 3 or 4 more to go times. But there you go. That is all from me today. Those are my thoughts on DD3 and as I prep for DD4. But what do you think? First of all, I'd love to hear down below where you're at in your journey on Dark Dimension, especially if you've been working on Dark Dimensions 3 or 4. Let me know your thoughts on Web Warriors in general, but specifically for Dark Dimension. Also, let me know any suggestions you have for good tunes to use either in DD3 or especially in DD4 as I'm preparing those teams. I always love to hear your thoughts and comments down below. That is all from me today. Thank you so much for being a part of this journey. If you have found this video informative or entertaining in any way, please consider giving it a like, a thumbs up down below. I really do appreciate it and it helps out the channel. And hey, while you're here, why not consider subscribing to Maiden Gameplay? I drop new gameplay videos for Marvel Strike Force and Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes every single week, and I would love to have you along for the ride. That is all from me today. I'll see you in the next one. In the meantime, look after each other.